This video is sponsored by My Metal Cards at Etsy.com. So yes, this is a new upcoming shop which specializes in selling like a lot of metal cards, so hence the name. So it ranges and specializes in like a lot of games such as Conflict Vanguard, MTG and Warhammer. So in this case, if you see here for Vanguard, they have energy counters for every nation. There's also like treasure tokens for MTG. There's also like plenty other designs for Vanguard, such as like fated ones. There's also like nation ones, and also it comes with acrylic ones. It's more transparent acrylic ones, so that's pretty cool. If you want to get one of these, that's also nice. And also there's plenty of other designs which are not in this shop, but you can custom pre-order them. You can like order them customly, such as like my Chronojet black and white energy counter, which is like 0 to 10. There's also like black and white like nation cards such as like Brungate, which I have over here, and also like they have like IoT energy like energy markers, energy counters, which I have like all three, like bronze, silver, gold respectively. So that's about it. And also, if you go to this shop and have the code coupon code Enochsays, 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 you get $5 off for your first purchase of one of these metal cards as well. So 5 again. Enochsays, ENOCHSAYS, for $5 off for your first purchase, and do check them out. There's plenty of designs, and you can use them to spicify your deck, so make it bling, make it fancy. Do keep in mind that since these are custom-made energy markers or whatsoever, counters or whatsoever, you cannot use them in like official Bushiroad tournaments, but you can use them as a form of like collection or whatsoever. And there you go. Just pick one of these up, and hopefully you'll like them. I like it personally, so do give them the support. And that's about it. I'll see you in the next video.
Alright everyone, hello, it's me, Professor Enoch095, back with a deck profile. So this time around, we are doing a deck profile based on Xeno Almajestar, Astroea Bico Masques, or aka just Unica Mask, if you just want to like put it in like simpler terms. So this time round, Unica has gotten a very good support for DZ-BT02, which is like Bfilons, which is the new triple rare. She is a generic card in a sense for her first skill, but also like she's like pretty more geared towards Unica support, and also she is pretty expensive right now. She's going for about like 90 ringgit, so it's like it's absolutely crazy like how costly she is, so expensive. But nonetheless, I thank goodness I actually like pre-ordered this the Unica playset for like about like 120 ringgit, and when it came out it's like 90, so like 80 to 90, so like it got like 200 plus bucks back. So I think like that's kind of cool. That's kind of like funny as well. So that's a major W for me in this case. Anyways, I've decided to try to like tag into this this whole Unica deck, because like this is meant for support mostly. So bearing that in mind, and also like with other supports as well in this deck, I just want to like probably do a little bit like a deck profile of like this deck in general. So what we have here is technically, as you can see, is just Unica and also the whole mask thingy. So I'm just gonna go through like one by one, like what this deck actually does. So for those of you who are not really aware, so Unica basically just power ups by depending like do special abilities depending on how many critical triggers are there in your bind zone. So the more there is there you get more powerful, but also it's pretty, the downside of it is that like the more crits you're out, the less likelihood you check critical triggers, right? So that's like the most obvious part of it. So of course I'm saying this, like I'm doing this deck profile not to say that like this is like a huge meta deck that you can like you can pick up, but it is a fun deck. I would say like Bfilons actually help the deck a lot marginally, so like it really helps the deck filters. It kind of helps the deck like control, like do like resource management really well, especially with Bfilons skill, which we're gonna get into. And also like yeah, although this is probably a solid tier 2 deck, it probably won't go higher than that. But of course, I just really want to like showcase to you like how this deck this deck has practically changes a lot since its new support. So we're gonna get straight into it. But before we go into the deck profile, if you do like what I'm doing in this channel, please do hit like and subscribe and stay tuned for more. And yeah, that's about it. We go straight into the deck profile. So of course we can start with the right line. So we have Almajestar Mushi. So that is your typical starter. And if you went second, if being rolled upon, if you went second, you get to draw one, so that's pretty self-explanatory. And then we have Almajestar Short Spotter. So the first skill is that if you have an Almajestar rolled by Almajestar Durandina, which is the grade 2, you soul charge 2, and if you soul charge a critical trigger with this effect, you get to draw 1, right? So it's a skill that kind of like 50-50. If you hit, you hit. If you don't hit, then it's pretty fine. But the second skill is probably the most important one, and the skill is that like Aage Rester once per turn. When your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you bind 1 trigger from your soul, and during this turn this unit gets plus 10k. So she can be a 10k beater or like a 18k booster, so which is pretty good, pretty fine. Oopsie, let me just okay. Alright, so that's a little bit of an F up over there. Alright, so we have Almajestar Durandina, which is the grade 2. So when this unit is rolled by Astroea unit, its card name. You can choose herself and the grade 1 Short Spada to call it to the rearguard circle. And also second skill, rearguard once per turn. If you have a Almajestar Vanguard in this card name, count the last one, choose up to 2 triggers from your drop zone and move it to your soul, and during this turn this unit plus 5k, so of course it's going to be a 15k attacker. And yes, it's like when rolled by this Unica, and you can just call herself and like the grade 1 out to the soul, so you can just technically just count the last one, move 2 triggers and bind that trigger, and essentially making this column potentially be a 33k column. If I'm not mistaken, 18, 20, like 15 plus 8, 23, 33. Yeah, so it's a 33k column, which is like pretty cool and whatnot, right? So after that, the ace of the Vanguard, well, technically not the true ace, but because we have the mask form, is Almajestar Astroea Unica. So her first skill is that on Vanguard, when you soul blast the trigger unit for this ability for this unit's cost, for the cost of this unit's ability, for every trigger unit that you blasted with this effect, you choose one of your units plus 5k until the end of turn, so which is like pretty nice. So if you blast 3 triggers, you can choose 3 units like plus 5k and whatnot, right? And also like you can choose the same unit twice, so I think that's pretty nice. Also, the second skill is that auto once per auto Vanguard. When this unit attacks, you soul blast 3 and you bind all your critical triggers, and depending on how many crits are there in your bind zone, you activate the following abilities. If you have 1 or more, you choose one of your opponent's rearguard and retire it. If it's 2 or more during this battle, this gets crits plus 1. If it's 3 or more during this battle, this unit gets strength plus 1. So pretty good and pretty solid on her own as well, because like if you're going, let's assume you're going first and you have like exactly 3 critical triggers in the soul. So when she attacks, you can just basically blast all the triggers, and you can just power up like wherever like you want. You can probably just power it all to your Vanguard, or you can just power it to like some of your rearguards to make it like magic numbers, right? So that's entirely possible, and you can just retire, you can get a crit, and you can get to have drive plus 1, which is like pretty cool, because like that's not like she is legitly very scary to have a triple drive and a crits on her first grade 3 turn, right? So that's really nice. So that's about it. But of course, like since BT10, I think it's like around like BT9 or BT10, I don't remember. I think like it's around like BT10 that she actually got the mass support. So we're going to move on to the main deck. Of course, you're going to have this tree of the OG Unicas, because it's meant for you to bind the mask, like use for the mask skill to just remove it from game in order for you to get drive plus 1, which in this case we can get to Xeno Almajestar Astroea Bico Masques, so Masques, or if you want to read it in Japanese, right? So so the first skill is that you can only write this with a grade 3 or greater Astroea in its card name. So second skill, act once per turn, you remove one Astra, either different name Astra, either from your soul, from your drop, or from your hand, and during this turn, you retire one of your opponent's rearguard, and this turn gets drive +1. And third skill, Auto Vanguard, when this unit attacks, counter +1, Soul Blast 3. You do the same thing, is that you bind all your critical triggers that was Soul Blasters with this effect, and choose one of your rearguard, stand it, and for every two crits in your bind zone, this unit and that unit plus 5k until the end of turn, right? So technically speaking, if say that you have like 4 critical triggers in your bind zone when she attacks, and then you can just Soul Blast and bind all the critical triggers. If there's 4 of them, that means that like the rear guard and Unica itself, like say for example, in a Persona turn, she swings for like 23, and then you can swing for 23, and then you just Soul Blast the skill and stand. And let's say you have like 4 critical triggers, there's gonna be like plus 10k, right? So for every 2 plus 5, so that's 10. So there's going to be like 33, and then you can pump another 10k, which makes it into another 33, right? So that's how she actually works. So yeah, Restander is like, she technically, in a sense, she can do like 4 attacks, and she can power up the more critical triggers that you bind. So yeah, that's about it. So of course, if you're going to play like I'm gonna have to play 4 because that's self-explanatory. That's what you have to like Persona roll every turn, and so playing like 4 of these OG Unicas means that you have to remove it, and then you can just retire one of your opponent's rear guards and then drive +1. So that's pretty self-explanatory. For the next grade 3 that we have the 2 Masks of Hydrograms. I decided to play 2. You can technically play 3, but I leave 1 more spot for Skullcamder, which we're gonna get into. But I think like this is self-explanatory for and very important in mask decks, so I think 2 is enough, I would say. So if some of you who are probably like don't know what it does, so when you play this order, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, search one Dragon Tree or Mask unit in its card name, reveal it and add it to your hand. And so the second turn in a drop zone, if you do not have a grade 3 Mask unit, and you can reveal a Mask grade 3 from your hand and reveal it, and you can just move this from the drop zone and move it into your soul, and then you just write the reveal card, and then if you did not activate a Persona roll during this turn, you activate Persona right? And if your opponent is grade 3 or greater, you can activate Persona right now. So that's the requirement for it. So I play 2 of this, so Masanori and the booster version. So that's about it. After that, we have the next grade 3, which is like Almajestar Celestia. So this is a very important order for Unica as well. So technically speaking, this deck is really have to be not entirely reliant, but it's like very important as well. So you can only play this order if you have an Astra in its card name, and when you play this order, you counter charge 1, you choose up to 3 triggers from your drop zone and move it to your soul. And if you remove an Astra in its card name during this turn, you choose one of your vanguards and crit +1, right? So technically it combos off like one another. So before you play this order, you remove one of the OG Unicas in order for you to get 1 drive. Then you can play this Almajestar Celestia, counter charge 1, and choose 3 trigger units from your drop zone, move it there. And then if you remove a Unica, which you did, and you can get another extra crit. So essentially making her like a 23k double crit and triple drive, right? So that's really like scary also and amazing. But of course, sometimes there's like few turns there where you don't really get into it, so that's like the big problem of it. But I think I can try to like solve the problem by playing another new card which is introduced in this support. So that's about it. So I think this is all the grade 3 for the time being. Okay, so for the next one, this is Griffon, I think. Griffon Chimera, I think that's the name of it. But anyways, this is a new rare card in DZ-BT02. So it says that when this unit is placed on the rear guard circle, if you have an Almajestar in its card name, Vanguard, in its card name, you can discard 1 card from your hand. You look at the top 2 cards of your deck, 1 of them into your hand, the rest either to the top of the deck or into your soul, and during this turn plus 5k. So I think Griffon is like very good and very important, because not only it helps you to like filter out like at your hand size in a sense, but you can also like control like if it's if you look at the top deck, you can decide whether that's a trigger, and like say you put it on the top, or if it's a critical trigger, probably will definitely put it on the top because you just want to check that, right? So if it's not, it's probably a normal unit, you can move it into your soul. So it's like pretty nice because it's kind of like do a deck stacking as well. So that's cool, that's amazing. After that we have Lindia. Now Lindia is absolutely wonderful, and like she's super amazing because she is technically like a bit stick, 20k, a solid 20k bit stick, and if you persona, it's going to be like a 30k bit stick, which is amazing as well. So what she does is that when this unit is placed on the rearguard circle, if you have a Mask Vanguard in this card name, you counterblast one, look at the top 5 cards of your hand deck, and choose one unit card from among them, and that is different from herself, so you cannot call herself, and call it to the rearguard circle, and then you shuffle your deck, and then you choose one trigger from your drop zone and bind it. So that's good. And the second skill, continuous rearguard circle. During this turn, you have 3 or more trigger units in your binding zone. This unit plus 10k. So of course, like she can technically call out like a lot of like good cards like the Griffon and like some of the great ones, and which is kind of helps because like it also do a little bit like for filtering, and not to mention that she can also helps you to speed up the binds and like the critical triggers to your bind zone as fast as possible. And so yeah, that's about it, right? So, and also like getting a 10k, so as long as you can get into 3 triggers in your bind zone, there's gonna be like a 20k, so that's fine. I originally was thinking to play 4, but I think like 3 is definitely enough because like you already counterblast a lot. Like this one counterblasts already and whatnot, and she already counterblasts, but I think 3 is enough. I don't think you can play 4, but of course you can always adjust to however you like. I personally play 3. I think that's pretty fine. Of course, like the last but not least, we have the great tool, Dragon Tree Wretch, Skull Kemda, Ryuju no Rakuin, Skull Kemda, and the skill is that when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, you counter +1, soul +1, search your, and then you put 1 Dragon Tree marker on one of your rearguard circles that doesn't have a Dragon Tree marker, and then you search your deck for up to 1 Dragon Tree order and add it to your hand, and then you shuffle your deck. So it's an emergency. Like I said, originally I was playing 3 masks, but I felt like Skull Kemda was just for emergency purposes, just in case if I don't draw into one. That not to mention that you can generate like extra 5k Dragon Tree marker, and also it's a 5k shield just in case, so I play 1 just in case. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. And moving on to great ones, this is the Sentinel, which is like the effect Sentinel, where if you have 2 or less cards, you can just guard with it, perfect guard without like discarding another hand, and also 1 Elementary Sanctitude. I think this is self-explanatory, so this is the Blitz order, like 3 effect PGs and 1 Elementary Sanctitude. Of course, like if your opponent is like has natural triple drive, you don't have to discard when having a Sentinel, but this is like a one-off, right? So it's only 1 copy, so that's about it. And the next great one is like Plutonic Prospector. Plutonic Prospector skill is that auto rearguard circle. At the end of the battle that this unit attack or boost, if you have Almajestar or Evil Eye Vanguard, you can move it to the soul and look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 Great Tree from among them and add it to your hand, then you shuffle your deck. And second skill, Continuous Guardian Circle. If you have 2 or more trigger units in your binding zone, this unit plus 10k shield. So Prospector is actually an amazing card, not just only because like he has a defense value of like 15k shield, but it also helps you to do the game like grade 1 rush and like filter all of the necessary great trees into your hand, so and move it into your soul, thereby increasing your soul count, which is good because you can use it to soul blast for like Bico Masques or like Skull Kemda or anything. So like it's pretty good. And this is definitely a 4-off. I would never play 3, so 3 or less. You know, this is a definitely 4-off, and like you can do like a lot of filtering with this and probably like this to an extent, right? So that's kind of nice. So the next great one, which is the new triple rare and the best support that Unica can get so far, is Bfilons. So Bfilons is the new triple rare, and in this set, like I said, so her skill is that auto when this unit is placed from hand to the rearguard circle, you counter +1, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, 1 to your hand, 1 to your soul, and 1 to your drop. So technically speaking, you can just like see you can look at the top 3 cards, and you probably can try to like filter out like what you need in your soul, what you need in your hand, and what you need like to the drop zone. In the best case scenario, let's say there's like a PG, there's 1 critical trigger, and there's 1 mask, right? So of course you're gonna ditch the mask, you're gonna get the PG into your hand, and you put the critical trigger into your soul. Often at times, I also have to warn you guys, sometimes you whiff. At worst, that you can like look top 3 and have like an OT and like 2 PGs or something along those lines, right? Or if all of them are technically triggers. So it's a very tough decision sometimes, and it's really RNG, but it's not too bad. The fact that you can just like just add 1 card for free, and then just like move into your soul and just discard 1. Like you can just discard the grade 2, it's fine. You can discard Lindia, it's fine. You can discard the mask, it's fine. You can discard the OG Unica, it's pretty fine as well, because like you can use them like the drop zone can technically be your toolbox when it comes to using Bfilons' first skill, but also the best part, like what makes this card so good, is her second skill, is that Aage Rester once per turn. If you have an Almajestar Vanguard in its card name, you Soul Blast 1 Energy Blast 3, search your deck for up to 1 Astroea in its card name, or a critical trigger, move it to your soul and shuffle your deck. If you do, then you choose 1 card from your drop zone and call that is different unit than different name than her, so you cannot call another Bfilons, and call it to that is the same grade or less than your Vanguard, and you can call it to the Rearguard circle. So it's also like a superior caller as well. Like, so like if you discarded Lindia, that's pretty fine, because like if you use your skill to like search your deck for 1 Astroea Unica and move it into your soul or create, then you can just automatically call Lindia, and you can proc Lindia, counter blast 1, look top 5 and call 1, right? Or you can just call the Griffon as well and just proc the Griffon, discard 1 and look top 2, 1 to hand, 1 to soul. So she's pretty amazing, and like I said, like the toolbox interactions like within your drop, your soul and your hand fixes the deck like a lot, and it's easier for you like not to like whiff, or like hard for you to remove a Unica, because like that seems to be the common problem when like in previous meta, previously, because like Unica's biggest problem, Astroea Bico Masques' biggest problem is that like she never had the the OG Unica just wouldn't come out for you to like remove, so you really have to rely on like your drawing luck in order for you to like draw into her, and then just discard it, and then just move it, just use it for like drive +1, remove it for drive +1 and all that. But this helps a lot, and not just only like the OG Unica, you can also like shove in the critical triggers if you felt like your critical triggers is not enough for you to pump the power. This is pretty good as well. So it's so nice. I'm really glad that like this is the support that she desperately needs and whatnot. So yeah, that's I'm very happy. So that's about it for the great ones. After that, we're moving on to another last great one. Okay, technically speaking, I kind of forgot. Okay, this is Aage Rester. So this is also a new double rare support in this DZ-BT02. So the skill is that when this unit is called to the Rearguard circle from your hand, if you did not play an order during this turn, you search your deck for up to 1 order card that the cost is that you discard 1 card from your hand. You search your deck for up to 1 order that is not a Regalis piece and put it in the drop zone, and it gets the skill that when you play this order card, you move it to the bot deck instead. Now, the reason I only play 2, then the only reason why I want to play this card in the first place is because I just want to get this out Almajestar Celestial, because it's technically twofold. Because one thing for sure, you're not going to draw into this order card on your first Persona right turn as well, right? So being that you can only like CC and just move in all of your triggers into your soul is so helpful. Sometimes if it's not in your hand, you can always rely on Aage Rester to just use the skill, discard 1, and then just play the order, and then you use the order and then you just bot deck it, and then meaning that you can increase your likelihood for Astroea Bico Masques to keep on getting the extra crit, and also like shoving all of the triggers into from your drop zone to your soul, right? So which is like kind of important. So there's always like a fix and like there's always a balance, like a ratios, like whether or not you want to play like a 2-2. But for me, I play like 3-2. I think that's pretty much fine. I've seen lists that actually play like 1. I think like 1 is like too slow. Like it's impossible, or 3 is just too much. I felt like 2 is just right. And most of the time, I find myself like not using it a lot because like how often I keep on drawing into this card. But in case that this card doesn't pop out into your hand, you can always use Aage Rester to just play with the order, right? And after that, I think that's all the grade 1s. And moving on to the grade 0s, of course, we have 8 crits. We have Mai, and also we have the 4 effect crits, right? So effect crits, I think, is definitely necessary in this deck. Unlike like some other decks where you kind of don't play, you can try not to play effect crits, but effect crits, even though like at the end of the battle that it can move itself to the soul and give 1 unit plus 2k, it like sacrificing a 15k shield for 2k power buff just doesn't really make sense. But again, since Astra Unica is a deck that relies a lot of like critical triggers like into your soul as much as possible, I think like playing effect crits would be the right choice of move, in like especially in desperate situations where you need it to, like you need to have the extra crit in your soul just for you to do shenanigans. So 4 effect crits is definitely a yes. After that, we go on to the heals. So heals, 4 heals, I think that's self-explanatory, but again, it could be like the one you can substitute like one of these into the anti-crit, anti-restand, judging by like the meta nowadays with like Rezael, Bagra, etc. I think Bagra is also like pretty good for you to play like anti-restands as well, because it gets like a 15k shield. There's also like Brang Maya that also plus like a 15k shield, because like Brang Maya gets 1 crit as well, so that's pretty nice. Also in this deck, I play like 3 fronts. I think fronts is pretty important because like right now the meta with shifts has a very big power, so I felt like 20k shield is definitely important. And not to mention that since like this deck actually filters a lot, you just don't want to deck out as fast as possible. I think like fronts is pretty awesome, and like not only is a 20k shield, but it also like pumps up your like front row's power as very big. So especially like in games where if you check fronts, you can potentially reach like 53k columns, 63k columns, right? So I think that this is like pretty good idea, because I used to run draws, but not anymore. I think like fronts is more important this time around, so definitely run run fronts, yeah. Last but not least, I play the red OT. Of course, the red OT effect is that when you check this red OT, you choose one of your standing rearguards, and when this at the end of the battle that this unit attack, you can stun it and then you can just swing again. So technically speaking, that unit can swing for like 2 times, you know. And also if you can check it 100 million, you just power the 100 million and then swing 2 times 100 million. And then if you did not choose a standing rearguard, you can draw one more card and then choose 1 card from your hand, call it, and then just swing with it lah. And also I mean like you technically can play the blue OT. I've also seen lists where like people play the blue OT, but blue OT is like the much more better option, honestly speaking. I just play the red OT because like the 100 million double swing kind of like finishes games for me, so I think red OT is pretty fine. But if you want to play blue OT, it's up to you. It's definitely welcome. So yeah, that's how this deck is supposed to you know, give the rough idea like how this deck is supposed to be. Alternative wise, you can play like the Kid Speak. So Kid Speak skill is that like when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, if you have an Almajestar Vanguard, you can choose 2 triggers from your drop zone and move it to your soul. And continuous rearguard Guardian Circle, if you have like a critical trigger in your bind zone, this unit plus 5k shield and 5k power. So essentially making the Kid Speak 15k beater and also like a 10k shield, which is important. So I've also seen decks that actually like doesn't run this anymore because there's much more better options. But if you feel like sometimes like that you don't want to waste your CB with Turan Diner to like shove in the soul, or you sometimes like you want to have shove in like the triggers from your soul into your rearguard, so like into your soul, you can always rely on Kid Speak if you have it, and then just call it, and then this does the job for you to just shove the triggers from like the drop to your soul. And also like a 10k shield, sometimes it helps a lot because like defenses and whatnot. So if you want to play kid speed, you can probably just kick out one Griffon and probably kick out Skullcamder, I guess. It's up to you. Or maybe just kick out one of the orders, right? So that's one thing. About Gangam is also like a skill that is like when on place you can soul charge one, and second skill, act rear guard once per turn, you soul blast 3 and draw 1. Unicard doesn't really lack soul per se, but sometimes like you have too much soul, sometimes you just don't know what to do with it. And in some games, but of course, if you want to soul blast 3 just in order for you to have like a draw power consistency, I think this is Gangam. It's playable. Some decks I've seen can play at least like 1 or 2 Gangams. I think that's technically fine. So it's up to you to tweak it. Last but not least, this is a rare one. But it's playing the Dark States Cat, which allows you to have like a 20k shield, and also like if you put it on Guardian Circle, and like CC1 if you play it on the Rear Guard Circle, provided if you pay the cost of like moving 2 of your right deck cards going back to your right deck, right? So in a sense like Turan Dyna and Short Sparta will always be on the field most of the time, unless you're facing like board control decks that wipes off. Then I think this can be rather useful. I think you can always like, there's always the Grade 0, you know, and whatnot. But of course, you can only play one because you definitely have to remove one of the right line OG Unicards for Astroea Bico Masques skill anyways. So this is a rare occasion where people can actually play this card, but I don't know like where you want to fit them, and also like it's not the most necessary card in this deck, honestly speaking, even though like you have like a lot of like shield defenses, like 15k shield, you have like a 20k shield and whatnot. So I think it's pretty optional. If you want to play it, just play it. If not, then I think it's pretty fine as well. So of course, there's always like there's a new deck that came out with this set. There's like a lot of interactions that's gonna happen because I think I did probably a detailed explanation, but if it's not too detailed, I'm sorry about that. You can always watch on my previous video on my previous fight with Kyoka how I actually like, operate with this deck. Of course, being this deck is a solid tier 2 deck, right? It won't be going far, as I've mentioned earlier. Unica's biggest problem also like faces control decks like such as Gandiva and Seraph. So this like it has like the worst matchups against those kinds of decks. So you have to be very careful because once Unica runs out of the crits in the bind zone, once Unica runs out of like rear guards like attackers and whatnot, this deck is basically just too slow and just about to die. So I think like it's kind of like key piece reliant at times, and also like really rear guard reliant. So yeah, and you tend to break, and honestly speaking, you can't help it. Like this is the nature of like most mass decks in general. Like so I think that's about like my thorough explanation of how this deck actually works. Of course, when you do like mulligans, when you do like top 5 drawing, it's also important for you to always have like the mask in hand just on standby. If you have Bfilons early game, if you drew into Bfilons early game, which it will be like the most best advantage as well, that like the most best thing ever, you know. And also you have Prospector. If you have Prospector and also how you say Bfilons in your hand, you can technically do the Grade 1 rush, provided if you go second. Because like if you went second, you can in let's say like if your Grade 2 turn, you have 1 CB, you can always call Glyphons to just use the skill and just filter out all of your Astroea OG Unicars as fast as possible. And discarding, I mean like discarding wise is not an issue, because like you can always discard this Griffon, you can to write, and then you can just use the Griffon skill to just counter blast 1, soul blast 3, like energy blast 3 to search for like an Astroea or critical trigger move to soul, and then you can always call back the Griffon and whatnot, right? Or you can just discard a Lindia, but Lindia, the only time that you can call back a Lindia is at the best optimum situation is that if your Vanguard is a mask, right? So if you use it during your master, like Griffon skill during your master, you can call out Lindia and then you can proc counter blast 1, look top 5 and call 1. So this deck in general kind of filters a lot. In a sense, which is pretty nice and pretty fun in a sense, because this actually filters, this actually filters, Prospector actually filters, this one kind of like semi-filtering, Lindia, like this also kind of filters, Lindia also filters as well. So again, the problem again, the problem with Unica sometimes is on like there's like a lot of issues with Unica. Sometimes you break, over reliance on key pieces, over relying on like having like a lot of critical triggers, which means that late game you can't check crits already. So yeah, so that's its biggest problem. But I hope one day, and this could be my copium stance, is that like in the future maybe they could give Unica a support where if you have an Almajestar Vanguard, if it's in the soul or in the bind zone, it will be regarded as a critical trigger. That's when the day like I will be rejoicing. But other than that, this is the deck list that I'm running through for the time being. So if you don't like the list, you can always like tweak it to you can just adjust it to however you like. I think this is my own personal list for the time being, and so that's about it. I think I have went through all of the necessary key points for this deck. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this deck profile, and yeah, probably you can put it down in the comment section down below, like what other deck profiles I should probably do in the near future, because like I like doing deck profiles, not gonna lie. It's like it's been a while since I do one, but the last one was like doing on Daifu dolls, and hopefully like some of you actually like give me a feedback, as in like you want me to do like a lot of deck profiles, which I can. I'll try to upload deck profiles, like good deck profiles, once in a while. So in the meantime, just watch all my other videos, like my fight videos, but I think that's about it. So yeah, I'm gonna end this video right here, right now. If you do enjoy this video, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more content to come. And this has been Professor Enoch 095 signing out. See you guys.